We have Inyana Diyoima, we're within 30 days of Pesach, and there's a few very, very important points that I'm sure we all go through, some on a greater extent than others. But first of all, regarding Pesach cleaning, like we all say and we all know, dust is not chametz, and kids aren't korban Pesach. Okay, easier said than done. But first of all, we have to know in halacha, okay, which I'm sure has been discussed on the station quite a lot. But again, according to halacha, according to the Gemara, bittul bal masagi, you're mevatel your chametz. Your mevatel your chametz means that you can't be over bal yirah bal matzeh. In other words, it doesn't belong to you, so you don't have to worry. You're not over chametz on Pesach, you're mevatel your chametz. Chachamim said, you know what, since we have food that's kosher lePesach, and we also have chametz, it's not like Yom Kippur that everything is aser, but here some things are mutter, some things are aser. So therefore, we also take out the bread out of the house and all the things that are chametz, we sell, we put away, and the chametz gamer, we get rid of. Some are noheg, in stores differently to sell it. But then you're completely covered. You don't have your mevatel all your chametz. And you also don't have the risk of, finding a sandwich and eating it by mistake on Pesach because you took out the chametz out of your house. And that's basically it. And then, of course, there's all the minhagim and different things of what you buy, what you eat, what you don't eat. Okay, so it's very, very important, and like on every show, me and Nissim always have some type of a little battle, a bigger battle, but basically, like I always tell people, we're talking about two different levels. We're talking about the level Torah Shem Tmima, Meshivas Nafesh, we're reading a Musar Sefer, where Torah is going to relax the person, where you're able to let the Torah help you and deal with things in a calm way. And I'll always discuss the level above that somebody has, God forbid, a broken arm or an anxiety disorder or OCD, that has to be treated in order the person should be able to get to the level of Torah Hashem Tamima Meshivas Nafesh or Daga B'Levish, Yisraelim Belibo, Yisraelim Alacherim. So that's basically those who have been following the shows. That's basically how you can combine my view and Nissim's view together. We're talking about different levels, and really together you understand the full picture. So I'm really happy for these what we call different views. Okay, now what's important to know? Like we said, bittul bal masagi, you're mevatel your chametz, you take the chametz out of the house, you cover your bases. Okay, now it's very, very important to know this, and this is where, we'll get some comments from Nissim as well, to know this before we get to the topic of anxiety and OCD regarding Pesach. Igeres Ramban called Varecha Benachas, like the Ramban told his son. The way it really works in psychology, it's machlokes, which causes which, but really the Ramban is the one that's correct when he says the way a person speaks, if you speak calm and relaxed, you'll be able to stay relaxed. So also remembering my Rav Amuvak, Rav Tzadok Sheingarten, and the Rebbitzin Sheingarten, Ruth Sheingarten, who my daughter Razel's named after, besides her grandmother. I saw Erev Pesach by their house. A little bit of sweeping, putting the bread away, in such a calm, relaxed way like I've never, ever seen it. Pesach and mitzvahs have to be done in a calm way. Somehow, I don't know how it came about, but Pesach is associated with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of pressure, with spring cleaning, with taking things out of the garage. It's not supposed to be like that. And maybe people, I think, one of the best pieces of advice, and we'll discuss this soon, is maybe if a person, there's such a thing called end result imagery. In other words, a person before Pesach they imagine how would a gadol clean, they speak to the Rav, and they have in mind, by this time, how are they going to go about it in a peaceful way? To remember, listen, whatever chumras, whatever you take on yourself, we just said, to mevatel the chametz, fine, the raisa, to get rid of the sandwiches so you won't eat cookie by mistake on Pesach, fine. But we have to remember one thing. We have the rices, we have rabbanins, we have minhagim, we have a toisvus kedusha, we have a toisvus tahara, and we have to keep everything in place. In other words, starting an argument with the husband or torturing the children, which we'll get to soon in more detail if somebody has OCD, how to deal with that on Pesach. But to have the whole picture, in other words, don't do a chumrah that can't be done in a calm way and be over an Isser Deraisa of torturing a husband or children or your friends, relatives. It's very, very important to keep everything in context, like all mitzvahs, that, which things take priority, which things are, like the Gdoilei HaMusar said, the Yetzer Hara tries to make a person, be machmir in a lot of other things, and chumras, and to be makel in 613. So it's very, very important. And again, we're speaking on Nissim's level now, where a person's able to have control. I'm giving it to you today, right?
Yes.
I saw you're coming a little tired, so I thought I'll take advantage of it.
We have the impression, Avadim Ainu le'ima b'midbach. This is the famous song in Pesach.
Yeah.
We were slaves to our mother in the kitchen. And, really, but it's easy to talk than really to stand on this peer pressure of the spring cleaning, let's put it like this, after the long winter that everybody was closing the windows and stuff like this, and suddenly there's a good occasion to refresh the house, repaint, and we just before the show before with Avi Cohen, he just told me that he's now painting the house, so it's a little bit tough to convince the wife that this is take it a little bit easy. So okay, we continue with
So I think
ideas.
I think the easiest way, I'm just thinking practically, what I would do is that the husband and wife, they sit with the Rav or they sit together and they really discuss, and they take a piece of paper and they write down, well, the first thing is the priority. We're going to be mavatal the chametz. We're going to take out the bread out of the house. We're going to sell. Are we selling chametz gamer? Are we only, what's our minhag? Fine. And this is what we're doing, and we're going to do that. And then make another line in terms of other things that they can do without. And those things only are done under calm, relaxed matzavim, circumstances, and that it should not affect the children, should not affect, the husband or the wife. And to have that in mind, instead of just going ahead, I don't know what to do first, and this has to be done, and that has to be done, but to have it sort of organized. Besides the things I said, okay, fine, we're going to kasher the Kiddush cup, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we'll take out we'll cover the table, whatever questions they have, they could ask the Rav, have everything set up, and any extras only if they are able, to do it without causing worse damage in terms of somebody being hurt, insulted, screamed at, because you got to understand, a person doesn't want to think they're doing a good thing and really do a bad thing. Hashem wants people to do mitzvahs, benachas, peacefully, and, I'm sure, that it sounds very difficult and it's Erev Pesach, but we always strive to have a certain goal. And I always say to look at the Gdoilim as examples, how they are Erev Pesach, how do they do things. And from what I've seen, things can be done, in a more calm way. So this is like the first, level in terms of the Pesach cleaning and the actual having a goal of how to do it, and to have even a goal. How many people have the goal? You know what? This year I want to do things in a peaceful way. I want to do things in a way that I get to my Seder and I'm not falling asleep. Nobody was insulted. That's greatness. That's a very great thing that we should all strive for. So first of all, for the listeners, you can call please with your questions at 718-683-5858. And my name is Dr. Baharav. And if you have questions, that are more private, or you want to reach me in my office, that's 718-621-2179. Okay, we have a caller. Go ahead, you're on there.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Baharav. How are you?
Thank God. How are you?
Can you explain more in depth what is OCD? What does it mean?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, OCD, we're talking about obsession-compulsion disorder, which is basically, it'll manifest itself either in thoughts that come again and again in a loud, rough, nervous, pressured way. Since we're talking about the topic of Pesach, so the listeners have to know that OCD is the actual problem. It can grab onto different things. Some people think that the problem is the washing hands, or the problem is the repetitive thinking, or the problem is the chametz, or the problem is, so-and-so. The real problem is OCD. These are only manifestations. In other words, the OCD is grabbing onto certain areas that are the person's tendency, and that's why you'll see various types of OCD with various people, which is very, very interesting. So OCD is obsession-compulsion disorder, and if it happens in a loud, rough, nervous, pressured way, whether it's a thought or the need to repeat something, washing hands, checking doors, whatever that is, then it's classified as OCD. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye.
Take care. Okay, and it's also important to know, since we're talking about OCD, what do you do if somebody has OCD regarding chametz? My goodness, then we're Erev Pesach. So what's going to happen with the husband, the children? So the husband, all the children, can take care of themselves. The younger children have to be protected. What's going on. They have to understand, look what's happening to their mother, or look what's happening to their father. It's very, very important. I know that, in dealing with people who have OCD, that they at least prepare themselves for Pesach. This OCD is something that needs to be treated in either case. But somebody who has OCD regarding chametz, and also people who have, other OCDs, and the way it's going to work, OCD creates anxiety. The flip side of anxiety is going to be depression. So anxiety of Pesach will make any OCD worse, because the anxiety basically is fuel to the fire. And also, the more somebody is knocked down in terms of confidence, the OCD will also, become worse. Okay, so again, if we have any questions...
We have some correction about, it's called obsessive-compulsive disorder, not obsession-compulsive disorder. There's somebody, okay.
Okay.
So that's a correction of the name.
No, you got obsession-compulsion disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, it doesn't, you can go both ways.
Okay. So, good advice for, you see, your wife goes, I would say, I use the banana, running. Nobody can go with the bread. The children allowed to eat on a certain area. That I know that some families already stop cooking now. Bread, everything is clean, and they're eating outside. And in the restaurants, not in the house. What do you say about it? It seems to me a little bit overboard. And
That what? That's
that all the family, families, the house now is a chametz proof. Yeah, that's sealed with the hechsher of the badats, the wife's
That's
badats,
right.
and everybody has. Nobody can allow to go in, out. Definitely no food in the rooms. Nothing, and a special area, limit area, zone, the chametz zone. With a flashlight and a warning alarm. Chametz, chametz, chametz. Be careful, don't come close. It's like the borderline, and everybody's eating outside. What do you say about it?
okay. I mean, look, if it's going to make them more relaxed and feel better about themselves, and everything till now was calm, so that could be okay. That could be all right. If it's not hurting anybody, if it's not causing any damage, if it's not starting any fights, I wouldn't have anything against that. Sometimes, when we have Pesach, Matzei Shabbos, and people Shabbos eat somewhere else, that's actually very convenient. And it's very relaxing, especially when you have kids. And even though what we said before about getting rid of the chametz, when you have children, and even though halachically might be okay, but it could make somebody more nervous. So as long as if it's agreed upon and everything till then is done in a calm way, then it's fine. Then it's okay.
Sorry.
But it's very important. It's very, very important that even if somebody like Nissim just said, the dramatic example of how careful people are going to be, did Salma's comic, it's very, very important to know really what you are allowed to do, and you're really, doing these chumras, for yourselves, and to calm yourselves down, to know that your house is untouched and it's staying the way it was left. But it's very, very important, to know the halachas. And if something goes wrong and the child brought a French fry in his pocket from the restaurant, that it doesn't cause destruction. Because that type of situation, it basically implies that the people are so careful, and that there could be an explosion if a French fry ends up in the house. So that's very important too. If they do that, fine, as long as it's done in a straight way, and they should have their head straight. Should something happen with a child, that it brings something home, to just keep it in context and not lose control.
That's also the right word is, I would say, proportion, right?
Exactly.
The midah. And this is, I think, is a very good advice to all of us, that not go over the board, and the proportion, how to run the show, and how to run this household right now that is going to be prepared from Purim, from all the chametz, from all the mishlochei manot that you have in the house, the extra waffles, extra amentation, all this stuff. Just what we're doing from one side is bal tashchit, from the other one it's just what are you going to do with this? No, I know that very very good solution. You give it to the yeshivot, but in a certain way, this is a mixed feeling, because we give it to the yeshivot, and we always preaches not to give them sugars, not to give them, extra candies, and suddenly you are going to give them bombasting with all this kind of candies. It's really, for me, it's a very mixed feeling about it, and I myself don't know. It's a very tough for me. Even it's that we gave away all this kind of extra mishlochei manot, but I don't know if I'm doing it the right way. That's all true.
I mean, once a year, if it's, that seems okay.
It's according to Rabbi Gruber, it's not so well, but we expect our kids to have a little bit calm way, and this month, and suddenly we just boost them with a kind of sugar rush. Anyway, we'll leave this issue. It's
Yes.
like a more Purim issue. So, today we had a very, very big event. I don't know if you heard it, and it was in Bet Knesset Achiezer in Ocean Parkway. It was Atzeret לתפילה for basically one kid that basically trigger all this, Elisha Raphael Meir, Ben Dvora Cohen, רפואה שלמה. This was the trigger, and very, very important that all the ladies from our community and all over the world basically ask us to create this event, and we will honor to be to bring the rabbis to speak and give chizuk onto Klal Am Yisrael, especially the ladies, about it. I want to get from you some kind of chizuk, some kind of dealing on, I tell you it's true. Every day, almost every day, I got few texts and phone calls about this kid sick, about this person sick. Please put it in the Tehillim, put a prayer on this, and I spoke with my friend Rabbi Yossi Mizrahi right now, and he is also, it's become to us a very difficult issue to, it's like everything is like amazing, I know that everything is good, everything, kol man da'avid rachmana letava, everything is for good from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but in a certain way, people get it, it's tough, so give us advice how to release this kind of pressure. The people that, had all the time bad news, something like this, it's happened here, divorce here, this shidduch didn't went on, and I want to get from you this.
It's
advice.
really interesting. I tell people, that I meet and that I speak to, that really the show is basically spontaneous. In fact, today I was here, and Nissim literally came running in as we're literally about to start. We probably started maybe a few minutes late, but we don't really rehearse anything. But Bli Ayin Hara, I think because of, the Saita de Shemaya, and that we mean L'Shem Shemaim, to Mekarav people, to show people the straight way, whether it's, what Hashem wants from us in every way, whether it's mental health, whether it's halacha, whether it's hashkafa. So I think there's extra siyata de shemayas in the station in terms of that the right people call in with right texts, besides that last OCD person who corrected me in something. But besides that, we have extra siyata de shemaya. And the truth is that I was, without Nissim knowing, but I have been discussing this topic with quite a few people because lately, whether it's the past year, 2 or 3, I've seen things that I've never seen before. Certain problems, or at the levels, or even Purim. I'm still recovering because I was raising money for somebody who literally has, is a big tzaddik. Hopefully he's listening to the show. And he might look a little different and might not have the same beard or might not have the same levush, but he's from the biggest tzaddikim that I know and the biggest people in terms of emunah that I know, that I met. And, he's not well. We're davening for him to have refuah shlema. But I've seen also, not only divorces, but the way things are handled, and the way people can be. And I hear this from people, and I've never seen this before. And I lately heard it from somebody else in the office, what they're going through. And, and really the truth is, like the nevuah, when you see the fox going in Beis Hamikdash after the Churban, you sort of smile, you laugh, because the other side of the nevuah that, Mashiach is coming, and I really truly feel, and I think this is really worldwide with any Gdolim we'll speak to, that we see kulo zakai, kulo chayev, and we see what people are going through. And again, I've been in this business helping people, Bli Ayin Hara, for almost 2 decades, even before I got my degrees. And just I've never seen such things as I've seen lately. And I went through a lot of people, but you just see certain people that grow to be giants and, unbelievable. And you see people, unfortunately, falling, with nisyonuses, especially Adam lechaveroi, And in fact, just today I spoke to one of the biggest Rebbitzins. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on the show, but she's definitely not listening because she told me she doesn't listen to radio. But from the most known Uluyasha Rebbitzins and from the biggest tzidkanios in the world, literally. And she told me about texting, and she told me what type of whether it's an obsession or an illness, but she told me stories that, are unbelievable. It's like I heard Rabbi Wallerstein say, "Ayadayim midei Esav." This is the texting. So in the beginning, I was sort of laughing about it, but after I heard what I heard today, I wasn't laughing anymore. So it's very, very important to know that the chizuk I give is basically that I am convinced every single day from what I see, from what I hear, it's different. It's not the same like it was. People have nisyonuses, important people, the corruption, the things that are going on. You have a very, very big nisayon, the Tanaim, the Amoraim, the Tzaddikim in Shemaim. When it came to this generation, they did not want to go down. Gilgulim did not want to go down and be in this generation because it's a very, very tough one. And the nisyonuses are very great. And the computer, I actually today again from this Rebbitzin heard that an anicle of hers was actually going on the internet and finding all types of things. And Nissim, you know how old he was? 1.5 years old. A genius kid in computers. And the mother was working in computers from Eretz Yisrael, and right away she quit her job, got rid of the computer because she didn't want to see. She saw such a thing, she was stunned. And they had another child, somebody else, who was 3 years old. Before they could even talk, they're already going on to... So I said, listen, I don't even return my emails. I'm from the only people without a cell phone, and it's just that I grew up from the people before all that. But the real chizuk is, it's like everything. When the Rambam says on the Mishnah, the Mishnah Nava says, so we have to be careful with every mitzvah we do because we don't know the reward of mitzvahs. But then he comes to say, you know what? You do know. And he says this is on the first Mishnah, second Perek in Avos. He says, by looking at the punishment, you can see how great the reward is. Okay, and then for another time, I could explain what the Mishnah actually comes to say, which I have a whole thing about it. But the important thing is, according to our generation, and the suffering, and the Isurim, and this Nisyonis, and the corruption, and all of these things that are going on, basically the reward is very, very great. A person can achieve such levels that I've seen with people I worked with in the office. I've seen people in learning. On one hand, people could be going one way, but they have a chance for greatness. Just like a person's going through a tough time and things are not going right and they don't have money, that's when the greatness comes in. That's when, if they stick with Hashem and they stick with the real tzaddikim, imarav doime l'malach Hashem tzavakois tekabel Torah mipiu. If your Rav is like a Malach Hashem Tzivakois, like an angel, you learn from him. And this is what I said actually to the Rebbitzin today. And so this is something very, very important to know, that because of the difficulties of the generation and because of everything we're going through, just like the Rambam says that, yes, it's true, Shabbos is from the greatest mitzvahs. Why? Because somebody's Machal Shabbos is from the worst, Skila. So the same way, that's how great. Every mitzvah is greater. It's not the same mitzvah as it was years back. Everything is harder. Yirah Shamayim is harder. Stay away from, children in high schools, boys, girls. What I was told today, this is a very big nisayon. And yes, you can grow to greatness just by following Hashem's ways, and you can grow much more than you could have in the past with the same type of, things. So I hope this gives a little bit of an answer.
We have a caller on our line.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I have a question because one of my friends is suffering from OCD, and I was just wondering if there's a way to treat it without medication.
Yes, a very good question. Okay, first of all, it's important to know that the medications are really going to work in terms of the symptoms and stabilize serotonin levels, which the brain creates anyways. That's how Hashem made us. So there is a technique. Just maybe if you can get away from the radio or there's a sound around you, it's coming through.
No, it's okay. I'm in a public place, that's why. Sorry.
Okay, so basically there is a very big chidush in terms of OCD. One of my main treatments that I have is in OCD, and there's a way basically to disturb the manifestation of OCD in the mind before it actually comes out. This is something that I would have to dedicate a whole show to, or you can call me in the office and you could hear a little more about it. But there is a way to help OCD without medications. In fact, the medications will only help the symptoms to a certain percentage while the person's taking the medicine. So if you want to reach me in my office, I'll give you the number. It's 718-621-2179. That's 718-621-2179. Okay, so you'll know it could be treated, and it really should, before the symptoms, become worse, especially if it's something that's becoming worse, the past few months.
Well, lately she's been going crazy because of Pesach, so it's been much worse lately.
Yeah, which is really what we're talking about, that the OCD could grab onto anything. So you have two possibilities here. Either it's an OCD regarding, Pesach or regarding germs or cleaning, or just anxiety, or it could be an OCD regarding something else completely. But anxiety is basically gasoline on the fire. So the anxiety of anything, whether it's Pesach cleaning or anything else, is going to really amplify the symptoms. So it's very, very important, if somebody has OCD, to try to take care of it, as soon as possible, or get at least hadracha, before Pesach. Also, like we were talking before, in terms of the family being prepared, how should the husband handle it, the children, if there's young children, where should they be? They need to be protected. They shouldn't, see their mother or father losing control. So that's really an issue to take care of before Pesach. And to be treated in general. OCD is something you do not want to leave unattended. You want to treat it, and there are ways to treat it successfully. So you're welcome to call the office, and we can tell you a little more detail.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Good. How are we doing? Okay. Any questions, Nissim?
Right now I'm trying to get the text message on, so just let me see.
Okay, and again, for the callers, you can call in to the station at 718-683-5858. Questions about Pesach, about OCD, how to handle it, in terms of what Nissim said, and, with the generation, what we're going through. Okay, we have somebody on the line? Okay, we have a caller with a question. Okay. Yeah, we have a question?
Yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, the question is what we can do with ADD on adults.
Okay, ADD on adults. So we had a show previously regarding ADD, and the first thing is, and I'm really glad you're asking this question, because it's something I wanted to repeat again because of the importance. There is a view, the myth of ADD, the myth of ADHD, and really what you have here is anxiety is going to cause, or OCD that creates anxiety is going to cause the same symptoms as ADD and ADHD. So in most cases that I've seen over a very long time, these symptoms actually went away when somebody was treated for either OCD or for anxiety. So although there are certain symptoms, but when anxiety causes the same symptoms, the right way about it is not to diagnose somebody with ADD, ADHD, but to first treat the anxiety and then see. And again, the anxiety has to be treated in a way that is really going to be helpful and reduce the anxiety and the chronic anxiety and the panic attacks. It has to be treated, and then what happens is you see what happens with the symptoms of ADD, ADHD. I don't like when somebody is going to mention this is what they have, because in the past, I remember 1.5 people that basically had it over a period of over 15 years in practice. So although people said it and they took Ritalin and they took the other medications, and I know from pharmacies that 30% of the medications are going to be for ADD, ADHD, but wherever you see anxiety, it's very wrong to diagnose somebody with ADD, ADHD till you take care of an anxiety, because it's such a responsibility to label somebody with such a disorder that is a machlokes, which is it's a controversy if it even exists, and there's books about that. So that's the way about it, to first treat the anxiety and see what's happening with the ADHD. But your question is, yes, it could be treated. But the first thing is, to rule out
if
the
it's
anxiety.
no medicine.
I'm sorry?
The question was without medicine.
Oh, without medicine,
Without
yes.
medicine.
So, the anxiety treatment that I use is either people are taking medicine or even people without medicine, and basically to get rid of the anxiety, and then usually these type of symptoms are going to disappear as well.
I want to remind the listeners that we have the text line at 347-927-8398, 347-927-8398. It basically will be easier to us to get the text question and text, because many of you don't want to be on live and radio. So I don't know if I'm repeat the question, the right correct. So please, can you text it, and it will be easier to all of us. So what is an idea to the kids right now that listen to us, and they under pressure from the school, from the parents, from the house, and sometimes they want to take something to the room, something to eat. Not always they want to help the parents to clean. In the and what is the idea for the kids to themselves? How to approach the kids and how the kids approach the parents.
There has to be, it's very, very important, I think, to have this all arranged beforehand, Nissim. That, in other words, you don't want, Pesach is going to be hard enough, what I mentioned at first, to have it, organized. Okay, what are we going to do? The parents decide, these are the chumras, this is what we're going to keep. Everything extra is, if we can do it peacefully, if not, then not. We don't have to paint unless we could do it peacefully. We could wait for summer. I think the same things, the same rules in terms of, okay, how are we going to arrange it? The kids are used to a snack. They're used to doing things a certain way. I think to get together with the family and, and have certain rules and everything set up really beforehand. You don't want in the middle of your Pesach cleaning, you can't tell your child in a calm way, okay, you see him walking around with a cookie. You have to prepare the children beforehand, prepare the husband beforehand, exactly how you're going to handle it, where you're allowed to eat, where you're allowed to do. and to do so in real agreement. And it also really depends. And it's very important to really have the right hashkafa and to know the halachas and to really know that the first goal is that, Hashem wants us to do things in a normal way, in a calm way, all mitzvahs, including Pesach cleaning. I'm sure whoever's cleaning is not going to have bread in their house and they're not going to eat chametz on Pesach. So it should be done in a calm way and organize some type of a system with the children and tell them in advance. Okay, I hope it answers the question.
Okay, the question is really just give to the kids themselves, right now you give to the parents the kids themselves. What do you think the teacher will be helpful for them how to over this period time, of pressure from all both sides, schools, all the tests before the Pesach and after, and prepare themselves. I know I'm talking about 9, 10, 11 years old, even the high school, that, they're getting pressure from all the direction. The parents demanding from them, the teacher now is demanding. What is your...
Yeah, I think that, again, we're talking about like a lot of different situations. If there's a parent that is OCD and we're talking about an extreme situation, so definitely the children have to be protected, they have to be prepared, they have to know that things are going to be a little different and how to do it, and maybe they shouldn't be around. And the older children, in terms of helping or not helping, depending really on the situation. If it's a more, a situation where it's not OCD, so again, I think it's important that, that the children, they have, a certain, a certain tafkid, a certain, certain things that they do to help out. But, I think it's important to work it all out beforehand, depending on the situation, depending on how nervous the parents are going to be, or the mother is going to be regarding Pesach cleaning, and to have everything worked out, to try to prevent that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I think it's time we'll move to the next topic, which really will give a little bit of an introduction. But it's a topic that's really needs to be looked at more more in detail. And, I think the next topic we'll speak about is clinical hypnosis, whether you call it hypnosis, hypnotherapy. We're basically talking about the somnambulistic states. There's 4 levels of hypnosis. A lot of people... when they see somebody like the Esdale state, where somebody's a coma level of hypnosis, really in treatments, we're dealing with the 2nd level, which is the somnambulistic state. You hear everything, you know what's going on, you have total control. That's right, total control. We said it again. Okay, there is no machloket in this. There's no machlokes. In other words, there's no other view. There is total control. You cannot control another human being. It does not exist. You will not find it anywhere unless it's something that's, false, because it doesn't exist in any hypnosis book that's reliable. You don't lose control. In fact, whoever is conducting the hypnosis, I happen to be a doctor of clinical hypnosis, so what happens is the person, you have to be so careful, not just that you can't control a person, but if you mention something, if somebody is a lawyer and you're going to tell him you're going deeper, you're giving him a command, it might not work because he's used to giving orders. You could let yourself go deeper. Now, the person, when somebody is treating somebody, you have to be very careful because their mind has to accept your suggestion. Okay, which is something, of course, we'll get a million calls soon. Oh, what happens in these shows where people jump like chickens and do funny things? Okay, that we could explain soon. But again, in terms of you don't lose control, you hear everything, you know what's going on. It's the opposite of sleep. Your mind is alert. You don't go deaf in hypnosis. In fact, your hearing is a little more tuned. Your mind wanders more, and the body is very, very relaxed. But the plus is that you're getting to the subconscious mind. In the subconscious mind, that's the part of the mind like when we have a daydream or we dream. You wake up in the morning, hey, I'm in New York. I had a dream I was in Florida. Look, I have sweat on my forehead because the body reacts like it's actually real. This is the subconscious mind which we reach in hypnosis. Okay, so far, if there are any questions.
Why we need hypnosis?
Okay, we just have a question from the station, why we need hypnosis. So first of all, hypnosis is very, very important. And being a doctor of clinical hypnosis, we're able to save a lot of time in treatment by going directly to the subconscious mind. Whereas medicine will take care of certain symptoms, but in terms of the cause, somebody has a trauma, we can get to the subconscious mind and make somebody emotionally removed from the trauma in literally 2-3 times, whereas I've had people who went years for therapy before they came. Or there's a way to actually disturb the manifestation of OCD in an OCD type of a treatment, or reduce anxiety by basically, if the mind takes everything lighter, everything that a person hears and sees, not only emotionally, physiologically, which can be done in the subconscious mind, which we won't get into the explanation now, but at a later time, it's Hashem. So then you're basically disturbing anxiety from happening. So to get to the actual cause or disturb the cause or the manifestation of OCD, for example, in these cases, hypnosis is very, very important. Also, when you're dealing with chronic pain, you're dealing with depression, anxiety, we said, abuse. Also, we'll one day get to the topic of drug abuse, which is a little more complicated in terms of treating. But hypnotherapy or clinical hypnosis could be used, in many, many ways, which we'll try to elaborate, next show, in different types of cases. But if we have any questions so far, feel free to call 718-683-5858.
My question like this: can you give us an example that working, real issue, a real case?
Yes.
That this will be maybe more saber to us and give us some more interesting point of view.
Okay. I'll give you one example, a dramatic example of somebody who was by me, who went through certain abuse, a young lady in her teens, and she couldn't even go to school. And she was in a center, and she was there for about 2 years before she came to me. She came to me, and basically what I did was, the first thing is you get to the subconscious mind. The hypnosis itself, or clinical hypnosis, is not a treatment, but it's a way to get to a certain place. When you get to that place, that's where the place of trauma is. That's where the place of confidence exists. The root of a lot of things exists there. And I was able to make her, one of the treatments I do is for trauma. So I was able to basically redefine her trauma. It's not you, it's this person who wasn't well, and this is why they acted this way, and you're becoming removed from that. Now, just like a dream, it's real. Emotions don't have time. Trauma doesn't have time. The person relives it constantly again and again. So I was able to remove her from her trauma. By 2 sessions, she was going back to school, and the people in the trauma center were shocked. What's going on over here? We're treating her for 2 years. How? Because you're getting to the root where the actual trauma is. And if you're able to do the right treatment, if you're able to explain subconscious mind in such a way that the person is basically accepting that, so then they could become removed from the trauma. And just like the trauma, they went through something, it doesn't exist now, but it's alive in their subconscious mind. Now you're able to go to the subconscious mind and rearrange it in such a way that the trauma is explained and basically the person's not experiencing it in the same way.
So we reprogram the brain.
Exactly.
So we have a caller online.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Doctor, I would like to find out if somebody have anxiety that will not be successful on certain area. You think?
I'm sorry, just repeat it, please. I didn't get all of your question.
Somebody have anxiety is not going to be successful in a certain area of a business, let's say, on let's say try to cut on some certain food or just approach somebody, and he's not sure is he going to make it or no because of some childhood, because maybe he met some dog, maybe he drowned in the water, maybe this be connection to the to his success in the life. It's possible through the hypnosis to find out and to restore his mind to be successful, or is it like he's going to be act normal later on if you put.
What did the person? I didn't get clear. What did the person go through? He went through certain traumas.
He going through not traumas. Because he went through the traumas of when he was young. Let's say he fell down in the water, or the dog chasing him and everything like this, or somebody abused him. And subconsciously he's behaving certain, he's doing wrong, and can be successful in certain areas in his lifestyle.
And their confidence is very low, they feel very knocked down?
Yeah, knocked down, it's not successful, knocked down. He understands something stopped him to be successful. And maybe it's because of the childhood, maybe it was where it's happened in the future, in the past, and now can you what do you call this?
Could you fix that?
Yeah, you can fix it?
Yeah, so it's very, very important to know that, again, emotions are alive in the subconscious mind. They don't have time. Now, even though it's existing for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, it doesn't really matter. You could still get rid of it. Now, if somebody, like you talked about a lot of things, so I'll just try to, give you an idea. If somebody was, abused or, they basically went through a certain trauma, that has to be dealt with. But also, people who go through such traumas, that can be corrected pretty easily. But also, what happens is that they're knocked down, the confidence is knocked down, and because of that, that's going to prevent them from being successful. They could be intelligent, they could have all the qualities in the world, but because they're knocked down, they feel not so worthy. And not only that, but people, they feel around them that they're not so confident, so you don't believe in yourself. People get that message, and they sort of like keep away, and the person senses that, and it knocks them down even more.
Perfectly right. So what you're doing, you just go and hear some scotchness and unlock
so the first thing is, the first thing is we need a complete diagnosis of what is happening, what the person went through. Then we go to the subconscious mind, and there's different treatments, either for trauma and or, building the person up in terms of confidence. And so basically, you're building the person back up from what he went through. Like you have a sur mera, go away from the bad, take the traumas, take the negativity out. So you have to do the sur mera first. And then asay toiv, you build the person up like that.
But I understand that, but you do surah from the side of hypnosis?
Yes, we're going to get to the subconscious mind. That's going to be the fastest way. And you also have to understand, if somebody just goes to therapy, the subconscious mind might reject a lot of the things if they're in contradiction with what's happening subconsciously. So that's why therapy could take so long. We just have 2 minutes left. So I hope this answers your question. And I just want to tell I'm sorry?
Does insurance cover your visits?
You'll have to call the office, which I'll give you the number. And the listeners, the number in the office is 718. Again, you're listening to Dr. Baharav. And Doctor of Clinical Hypnosis, the phone number in the office is 718-621-2179. That's 621-2179. Okay, I hope I've answered your question.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're almost a minute before finish, so
we want to thank the listeners. Thank you for the questions. And thank you, Nissim, that I think every time we have Bli Ayin Hara Siyata de Shemaya, that people should understand that not only with the difficulties, but Zelumat Zeasa Elokim, and it's really like this in all the nisyonuses and the special difficult times that we are experiencing now in our generation. But really, we have an opportunity to grow and to reach greatness because of the difficulties. We're able to, it's like somebody's going through a hard time, their learning is 100 times, 1,000 times more than that, like Rav Eichler told me. So what happens is, it's an opportunity. And if there's any questions, you're always welcome to call the office. In terms of Pesach, I wish everybody they should have a relaxing Pesach. We'll still speak to everybody probably at least once more before the holiday. Thank you very much. Have a good night.